Today, the kids are playing a friendly game of basketball. To play basketball, you have to work together. To work together, you have to understand each other. To understand each other, it means understanding world religion. I'm Lin Ling and I'm 15 years old and I live in China with my brother, my mom, and my dad. And we practice Confucianism and it affects our lives every single day, especially mine.
Social harmony is the great goal of Confucianism.
Confucianism consists of 5 interpersonal relationships: master to servant, parent to child, friend to friend, older sibling to younger sibling, and husband to wife. All except the friend-to-friend relationship involve the authority of one over another. Power and the ruling rights belong to the superiors or older people over younger people, and to men over women. Lynn has to give respect and obedience to her teachers and dad. Lynn owes love and responsibility to her brother. However, she's only 15, so she doesn't have any responsibilities to a husband yet.
Maybe I'll just stay back here and watch your film. Confucianism is not like most other religions because it does not consist of the elements of religion. Confucianism is primarily a moral system, and rituals are performed at the most important parts of people's lives.
When Lynn was born, the Tiaishin, or the spirit of the fetus, protected her mother. Lynn's mother's family supplied all the items required for her on the 1st, 4th, and 12th monthly anniversary of Lynn's birth. When Lynn reached maturity, her life passage was no longer being celebrated except in her traditional families, and that was when they took a group meal in which she was served chicken. When Lynn gets married, the marriage ritual will be performed in 6 stages. The first stage is a proposal, when the couple exchanges the 8 characters, which is the year, month, day, and hour of each of their birthdays. The second ritual is the engagement, and after the wedding day is chosen, the bride announces the wedding with invitations and a gift of cookies made in a moon shape. The third stage of the marriage ritual is the dowry, which is when the goods of the wife are carried to the groom's home and the bride price is sent to the bride by the groom's parents. The fourth stage of the marriage ritual is a procession, which is when the groom visits his bride's home and brings her back to his place. The fifth stage is the marriage and reception, which is when the couple recites their vows, toasts each other with wine, and takes stage at a banquet. The sixth and final stage of the marriage ritual is the morning after, which is when the bride serves breakfast to the groom's parents, who then reciprocate. One last ritual will be performed after Lynn dies. When Lynn dies, her relatives will cry out loud to inform her neighbors, and her family will start mourning right away. Her corpse will be washed and put into a coffin. Mourners will bring incense and money to offset the cost of her funeral. Food and significant objects will be placed into her coffin, and the priest will perform a burial ritual. Friends and family will follow her coffin to the cemetery with a willow branch, which symbolizes her soul. Rituals will then be performed on the 7th, 9th, and 49th day after Lynn's burial, and on the 1st and 3rd anniversary of her death.
Some say Confucianism is not a religion because it does not teach about the afterlife, but rather focuses on doing the right thing in life.
Confucianism is a system of thought based on the teachings of Confucius. Confucius taught the moral code based on duty, responsibility, and values. The Golden Rule came from Confucius. He stressed the ideals of order and harmony. A follower of Confucianism believes when one reaches an enlightenment, that upon death that person is rewarded with peace and rest, much like heaven.
There are many different sacred texts in Confucianism. These were assembled by Chu Shi during the Sung Dynasty.
In Confucianism, there are 6 different schools: Han Confucianism, Neo-Confucianism, Contemporary Neo-Confucianism, Korean Confucianism, Japanese Confucianism, and Singapore Confucianism. At Lynn's school, Han Confucianism, they read these 9 different texts. The 5 classics and 4 books, Wu Jing and Si Shu, collectively create the foundation of Confucianism. The 5 classics and 4 books were the basis of civil examination in Imperial China and can be considered the Confucian canon. The 5 classics consist of the Book of Odes, Book of Documents, Book of Changes, Book of Rites, and the Spring and Autumn Annals. The 4 books are comprised of the Doctrine of the Mean, the Great Learning, Mencius, and the Analects. Zhu Xi prescribed a specific order to the 4 books and the 5 classics. The 4 books were to be read before the 5 classics.
Back in Confucius's time, he taught his students the 6 arts, which were rituals, writing, archery, chariot driving, mathematics, and music. Confucian notions on music are deeply embodied in Chinese musical life and converge with important intellectual streams in China. In Confucianism, as it later developed, music, which was a contextual phenomenon rather than an isolated one in Chinese culture, seemed always to be associated with the rituals. Today, at Lynn's school, she learns the rituals, writing, and PE instead of archery, driver's ed instead of chariot driving, mathematics, and music.
Confucianism is practiced in China and other places in Asia.
Confucianism does not have a specific language. However, Confucius views language and politics to be closely related because they both play a major role determining a country's fate. Confucius teaches, and therefore Lynn believes, that her words should be in accordance with her actions. However, since Lynn lives in China, she speaks Chinese.